Lilly climbed into the shadow of the Ladybird's gondola and crawled through the opening in the hull. They were breaking through the clouds when she wound the ladder in and she slammed the hatch shut behind her, cutting out the roar of the sky. "Bravo!" Anna called from the bridge. "You've given us enough pep to outrun them." But Ladybird didn't quite agree. Her wooden frame juddered and shook, complaining. "Crunking, useless machine!" Anna hit her palm against the dash. "What is it?" Lilly hurried to the flight deck. "We're going too high." Anna's white knuckles gripped the wheel. All about her, needles in their dials fluttered and pulsed. The Ladybird rattled as she rose. "She's going to break up if we carry on like this," Anna shouted. "We've shed too much ballast. We need to release gas from the balloon, equalise and bring her down." She pulled a lever at the side of the cabin, but nothing happened. "Clank it!" She cursed again. Robert appeared in the doorway. "What's wrong?" he asked. "The gas vent release is jammed." Anna tried a few different buttons on the dash, but the ship didn't respond. Another brass dial twitched into the danger zone. Anna glared at it. "That's oxygen warning. 10 minutes and we'll run out of air. Take over, would you, Lil?" Lilly took the wheel from Anna and she felt the ship buck and twist under her hand like an angry animal. Melkin jumped up and leaned against her. "I don't like this," he whined. "I don't like this at all. We'll end up smashed to smithereens or worse." "Don't worry her," Anna yelled at him. "Lilly, you keep our course." She took Robert's arm. "You come with me." Anna ushered Robert into the passage. She pulled back the curtain of the berth and she pushed open a panel of the gondola's ceiling. There's a rope opens the gas vent. It's run through the inside of the Zet, just like the steering cables. I must have snapped or jammed somewhere. You're going to have to climb into the balloon and fix it." "It looks dark in there," Robert said. "Can't I take a light?" Anna shook her head. "Not unless you want to blow us up." "You'll have to feel for the brake. The rope starts just above the ceiling hatch and runs through a series of loops. Pull yourself along until you find where it's broken. I would go myself, but I need to check on the clanking engine." She pushed him through the hatch. Robert stared down at her, framed in the square hole. "What do I do when I find the brake?" "Tie the two halves together again and paint some tar over them so they stick." She reached down and she pulled a short length of rope, a pot of gloopy tar and a brush from the footlocker and handed them to Robert. "If there's any chance the knot might snag on an eyelet, make a join on the other side with a spare length. What happens if I can't fix it? Then we'll keep rising and we're dead in 10 minutes when our oxygen runs out. You got all that, Robbie?" "Yes, ma'am." Robert ducked away from the hatch and scrambled into the dark interior of the balloon. Carrying the pot of tar and the rope and the brush, he couldn't even cover his mouth against the particles of dust that the juddering ship was kicking up. He blinked them away and sneezed. Helium gas filled the empty vault above his head. It dizzied him at first, and he had to take slow, deep breaths to get enough air. Soon his eyelids adjusted to the lack of light, and he could see a little. The space inside the balloon must be 3 times as tall as he or more. He put one hand out and he felt for the end of the rope. It ran for as long as the roof of the gondola. He inched himself down its length in the dark before finally found the break in the rope. Clinging on tight, he hooked the brush and the bucket over the inside of his elbow and put out his hands, feeling for the other length of the broken rope. It was loose and flapping, hitting the interior of the silks on the far side of an eyelet. He had to tie the 2 lengths of rope together with a spare section. He threaded it through the eyelet and knotted each end to the existing rope, using reef knots, and cut the frayed lumps with a penknife. Then he painted the tar bitumen over the joints and seal them, and tugged the near side rope to check that if it didn't catch. It didn't. Relieved, he picked up his pot. Fixing airships was easier than fixing clocks, that was for sure. Climbing back towards the opening in the floor, he realised that he'd been so busy with the task he'd forgotten all the nagging fears. Once more, he remembered Dar's advice about being brave, and it was almost as if Dar was there with him. "It's done!" he called out, jumping down from It's done, he called out, jumping down from the crawl space into the berth. "Great!" Anna cried, emerging from the engine room. "Has it worked? Are we losing height?" he asked. He coughed. His voice appeared to have gone a little squeaky all of a sudden. "I think so." Anna hustled him towards the bridge. Lilly, at the wheel, had already pulled the vent rope. The balloon hissed, releasing gas. "Nice job, both of you," Anna told them. She took back the controls and evened out their path. "One good thing's come out of this. We appear to have lost our pursuers." Gradually, as they dropped to lower altitude, the cabin filled with fresh air, and Ladybird's wooden frame stopped shivering. Soon, she grazed the cloud tops again, and one by one, the needles in the instrument panels tipped from their red danger zones into black. They flew on. Robert and Lilly stoked the dying boiler, feeding it with the last scraps of wood